Good morning. Thank you for joining Power to the Flower. My name is Kara and I'm the owner of Power to the Flower, a design company that designs pots and small landscape spaces. And we're here in my yard today because I just got home from a camping trip. We were gone for 6 nights way up north in Patrick's Point and Jedediah Smith Redwood, California State Park. And we had such a great time. I was posting pictures about that yesterday on Instagram and Facebook. So check those out if you are interested in seeing 1,000-year-old trees and forests, incredible spaces. But now I'm home and you're gonna hear my kids because they're running around in their pajamas inside. And I thought it would be really fun to give you a container tour because all of my plants are just looking so beautiful. I've come home with like new eyes and I thought it would be great to show you some of the containers that are doing really well and some of my favorite ones. Okay, so let's get started. Here we have our very first little cluster. Right, I have 3 pots sitting here. This is a sun patient. These need quite a bit of water to stay healthy and happy looking, but they can handle a lot of sun. I've just moved this one into this situation, which gets probably afternoon sun from 4 o'clock onward, but it was in a different location getting full sun and is doing great if it gets enough water. So I have it in this little tray to make sure that it gets plenty of water all day long. And then over here I have I think it's called colonial geranium. The reason why I love it is because of its variegated foliage, not for its flowers so much. But when you blend it with other things, and in the winter it stays green, so it's this amazing pop of color. And then floating over the top of this I have some purple pincushion flowers, which are just great for cuttings. These 2 containers are some of my faves. Let's look at this one. It has this green, chartreuse green feverfew in, which has these adorable little daisy flowers that kind of float above the top. I've put in the back some aeoniums, and I have in the front calibrachoa. And then out the side, I just wanted to see what would happen, and I think this is worth noting. I have this senecio, which I think is called ruby slippers, and it is doing great. Look how healthy that is. And this gets watered every day. And all of these 2 are succulents, and they are handling that water just like a champ. I do think that the feverfew needs a little bit of less sun. This gets almost all day sun, and it would do better with a little less. You can see this one over here, something went wrong, it got burned. So I've cut it back, but you can see it's growing fresh from its old twigs. So I'm confident it will be coming back soon. We just gotta wait that out. Okay, next up, we have another, I would consider this full sun, although we have a tarp up above on our patio here, and therefore the sun kind of comes in and out. So some of the plants I'll show you first, these zinnias, they started growing towards the sun, but they've corrected. So let me just show you that. So these zinnias were kind of growing around this alyssum, but you can see once I moved it up, it started growing directly straight towards the beautiful sun. And these are just the most beautiful flowers. These are annuals, and they are beautiful and strong, and they last forever. And I love them. This one is called Benary's Giant Lime. And then I also have in here a 5th Avenue Coleus that I only put in maybe 2 weeks ago. And then a Forever Purple Heuchera. And down here we have some Peachy Keen Super Venus. In this one, I have alyssum, just good old alyssum, which smells amazing. And then here is some new Rudbeckia that I'm starting. It's called Sahara. Can you see that? And I think it's gonna be really pretty, and it's just starting to flower. So this is a fall flowering plant. So I put it in here maybe, again, a couple weeks ago at the same time that I put the coleus in that one, and it's already blooming and doing really great. So it's gonna be a beautiful fall show. If we span this way, Here's the blue pot. I've done a lot of filming about the blue pot. I think it is looking amazing. We have HS Flame, Happy Single Flame Dahlia on the top. This plant is Diamond Frost Euphorbia. This plant right here is Lemon Coral Sedum. This is an orange, I don't know the name exactly, but some orange Calibrachoa. And this one over here is called it's called Bright Lights Moon Glow, and it's an Osteospermum. All the plants in here are a single plant except for the Diamond Frost Euphorbia, this, which is 2. Probably could have just stuck with 1 and that would have been fine. Here is the Lemon Coral Sedum, which gives it that kind of lime greeny appearance. The Calibrachoa Diamond Frost. Down here, this is just like another little bed. This is what I mean by small landscape design. I love just doing small little spots that make you happy. In here I have 2 Firelight hydrangeas and 1 Bobo hydrangea. These all got burned this year. Not enough water, too much sun. I think I'm probably gonna move them for next year. But I love how it's contrasted with these red heucheras. I don't know the name. They were like a Lowe's purchase off of the Almost Dead rack. And then the Dichondra Silver Falls as the ground cover. I think it is just so pretty. So the next one to talk about is this dahlia pot over here. It also gets sun for most of the day. As you can see, the sun is starting to peek in on the pot right now, and it is about 9:30 in the morning. And then it will get some shade in the middle of the afternoon, and then it will get more sun in the late afternoon. So it definitely gets more than 6 hours of sun a day, but it does get a little reprieve, which I think it enjoys. So let me show you this pot. Corner cluster. Again, I have 2 Sun Patiens here. This is super interesting. You can see that one is huge and that one is medium sized. They were the same size when planted. There's 1 plant in each pot. This one sits in one of those plastic containers like I was telling you on the other one. There it is, filled with water all day, and it sucks all that water up all day. And I think that is the reason why it is so much bigger than this one, which because it sits in this little bicycle holder thing, it doesn't have any container to catch, so the water just drains out. You have to be careful when you put your plants in containers like this, because if they don't soak up the water every single day, the roots can rot. So this is kind of like a little bit of a tricky thing, but for sure with the Sun Patien, it needs a lot of water. So then we have back here our dahlia pot with our amazing 5th Avenue coleus, underplanted with purple vinca and then some spilling vinca minor, I think it's called. Over here we have another, it's kind of in part sun, I hope you can see it, another container which has a newly planted verbena which hasn't started to bloom yet. It was a little bit sickly. This amazing 1 single plant of zinnias right here doing lovely. I think it's called Red Wine. I'm gonna have to look that one up. And then I put a sickly Gara in here, which is looking amazing. We're just getting ready to send up some blooms. And then my Lavaterra pink blush, which I cut back and is just starting to bloom again. That's this one right here. This is such an exotic looking annual. I love it so much. Oh, and then a Diamond Frost Euphorbia. So this one is called Superbena Blue, I believe. So I'll be looking forward to showing you that one soon. But overall, as a cluster, I think they look pretty amazing. Oh, and this yellow flower right here is Goldilocks Rocks Bidens. I think it's notable to say it gets like this, kind of dead.
Good morning, Mommy.
Hi, buddy.
Hi.
Hi. How are you? The alyssum, it smells amazing. Do you want to go smell it?
Which one?
That one. That white one. No, good. That one. Well, that one smells good too. That's lavender.
This one?
Mm-hmm.
Which one?
The white one. Stick your face in there.
Oh, yeah. It smells like honey.
Like in a bad way?
Kind of not so good.
Okay, so I think that it is notable to talk about the Goldilocks Rocks Bidens
Bye.
because they seem to get like this this kind of brown duddy business in the back of the plant, and then whereas the tips look real good. And that's fine, that happens with lots of plants, but then it's just notable that you want to cover it, and I think that this Sun Patient is doing a better job of that than this one. But just to kind of keep that in mind when using Bidens. So the next container I have is over here behind me. Maybe I can do this one with the video. Can you see it? There it is. It has a lemon cypress tree, a bunch of begonias, the same blue plant that I cannot remember the name, and an amazing Dichondrus silver falls spilling out the edge. This plant gets morning sun till about 10 o'clock, maybe 11, and then it is completely covered in shade. I have above it a hanging basket which has creeping jenny and mondo grass. Let me show you. I'm really happy with the way this creeping jenny is working out. The reason why I have these two plants right stacked on top of each other is because this one has drip and it waters the one below. Otherwise I would move it over, but for now, this is where I'm gonna leave it. All right, the next one to talk about is a full shade container on the patio. So on this side of the deck, there is no light that reaches these plants at all. All right, so we have, well, you can see 3 containers, one small succulent container right there, one container with this mix right here, and then one large container with this amazing fern. I think this is a fern from my in-laws. I think it is Queen Anne, but I'll have to just check with him to make sure. But you can see it's really happy here. It gets bright light, but no direct sunlight. Let's talk about this container, which I'm really loving. And I have a matching one over here. Can you see it? There it is. So we have in here, my shadow. Okay, so we have in here an abutilon. This is called Lucky Lantern Yellow, and you can see that it's full of blooms. They are just like these really fragile paper looking, beautiful blooms that hang upside down. And then underneath I have another black mondo grass, and then these 2 coleus. This one is called Cherry Brandy and this one is called Ridiculous, both proven winners. This is a calibrachoa that doesn't actually bloom that much because it's not getting sunlight, but I think it still looks really pretty hanging over the edge and quite lush. I do have a Dichondrus silver falls in there that has kind of gotten lost, but I think it looks really pretty kind of interspersed with that other plant. Let's go over here. Here you have the same. This one gets some afternoon sunlight that peeks in, so you can see the calibrachoa, which is called Lemon Slice, because it has these white and yellow stripes on the petals. Does bloom a bit more, and that's why this Lucky Lantern is also peeking forward, kind of gravitating towards the sun. But the coleus is doing great without any sunlight touching it, and that Dichondrus silver falls is amazing.
Lizard.
Go get it.
Here, it's behind you.
Oh, lizard. Get it.
No.
Nice try.
I got.
Of note, I'll be doing some projects this winter, at least that's what I'm planning on doing, on these sort of structures in your pots. This is an obelisk, and I've put lights on it, which is really fun because then it lights up in the evening. And the reason why you want something like this is because in the wintertime, when your plants either die because they're annuals or die back because they're perennials, you still have structure in your pot, which is very beautiful. Okie dokes, so let's go down to the next one, which is over here. This is also getting a lot of sun. This lovely container. This is the 2nd year for this container. This is a plant that I can't remember the name. It is an evergreen, and I will have to put that on the screen. We have a calibrachoa down there, a dahlia, a Hellman's barberry, a Hellman's pillar barberry, which has this amazing structure. It just zooms straight up, which looks great in pots. You can see that beautiful dahlia blooming right now. And then this is a flax lily, which actually probably would prefer more shade, but is doing great for getting a full sun. You see this browning on its tips. I think that's because it's getting a bit too much sun. That said, it's really huge, so it's clearly pushing new growth. I also have a wire vine under there, and I think this is called Amethyst Mist Superbena in the back. So that's a really fun one. Hey, so next up I have a little number of pots that I've put together from leftover plants from other projects, and I just thought I would show you some of the plants because they're doing really well. And then also I have this really fun window box behind me. Oh, and there's our camping ice chest. Can you see the window box? There it is. That window box was filled with kind of whatever I could get my hands on as soon as I could. So I had a really fun arrangement in there from fall and then Christmas, and I finally got some coleus in April. And coleus mostly has come out in June in our area, but in April there was some at Costco, and that's that lime green pop that you see back there, and it just sat in that container and sat and didn't grow at all until about June, and then all of a sudden it has just put on tons of new growth. So these get some filtered sun throughout the day. They are really happy. I have some begonias in there, some creeping jenny, and then I added some caladiums, which has been a really fun touch. Here you go. Don't mind the inside the window, that's all of our camping gear. But here is that amazing nameless Costco coleus, creeping jenny, caladiums, begonias, repeat. That's one. So there's 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 coleus in there. That's one. Those, I mean, those are just huge. They must get the most sun during the day. All right, and then down here, I just wanted to show you this container as well, as I was saying, with some leftovers. Some more caladiums, which are just such a great shade plant. They do not need any sun and they will be fine, but if they get a little bit of sun, they do fine as well. This is some vinca. I have a Kong coleus back here, some more creeping jenny. These are all plants that love shade. Oh, and here's that flax lily that I was just telling you about, and it's growing beautifully in this shaded spot. This pot gets filtered sun, but for the most part is a great collection of plants for shade. All you need is a tad bit of sun. Can't be full shade because this vinca is gonna wanna bloom and it needs some sun in order to do that. So a couple hours total would be good. Let's head to the side of the house now, and I will give you a little bit of an update on my dahlia pots, which I just put a video out in maybe 2 weeks ago about my top tips for growing dahlias in containers, which is something new for me this year, and I am really, really loving it. I think what I'm going to end up doing with many of them is moving them into the ground, but let's see. All right, here we have some dahlia containers over on this side. Let's see what we got going on. All right, here's the first one, kind of hidden by a squash plant. But you can see it's doing great. That's Mystic Illusion. Oop, there's some bugs eating it. But check this out, it's just so beautiful. And then paired with the Superbena dark blue. And that dark foliage of the Mystic Illusion with the green and blue Superbena, I think, is a nice combination. So we also have some potted vegetables, and then here's our other dahlia container. Needs a little bit of deadheading, but doing great. And then this one of my faves with the Superbena whiteout, the Dahlia Figaro, and the Miracle Grow Night Sky Petunia. All right, we're heading to our last ones. Up here in the front is one of my favorites. You'll see why in a second. I love the grass, I love the coleus, and I love the petunia mix. Here we go. Oh. And do you see it behind me? There it is. Okay, there we go. This is one of my favorites with the purple fountain grass in the middle. I have 4 Fifth Avenue coleus around the edge and 4 Supertunia bubblegum. Supertunia Vista bubblegum. You can see everything looks a little bit chewed on. So I think I'm gonna have to deal with that when I'm done with this video. In the front, I have a Santa Barbara daisy. I don't know if I'm really loving that, but I think that it's okay. Oh, and in the back, I tried some lemon coral sedum, which can't keep up. So again, next time I'm gonna pop an extra petunia back here. But I think it is just such a magnificent pop of color. And I have another one at the other end of the garden, so let's go down there. These get full sun. Both of these are half wine barrels, and this one seems to be doing better at this point of the year. So the one on the one side got more sun earlier in the season, and now it's getting less because of the trees and whatever the seasonal change is. And this one is getting more sun now. So let me show you. All right, and there you see it. Again, the purple fountain grass on the top, the coleus, a ball landed in there, that little hole right there. Oh, so sad, but I think it'll come back. I think it was the same 4 petunias and 4 Fifth Avenue coleus and 1 purple fountain grass in the middle. I have in there some Senecio string of bananas. You can't see them. Oh, maybe you can. They're popping out, which also have done great holding up to all the water that this gets, which it gets watered every other day for about 20 minutes on drip. And those are just super healthy down there. So that's good to know that you can put those succulents in a mixed container. All right, this is what I do for coleus. You just pop these off because you don't grow coleus for these little flowers. You just pinch them. Boop, done. All right. Okay, and then this is my last pot that I want to show you, which is on the porch, and it gets a few hours of filtered shade during the day, probably a cumulative 2 hours of sun every day. I think that's of note because I have a lot of sun-loving plants in here. This is a sweet potato vine, this is a sweet potato vine, and that is a Diplodena. Although you can see that it is blooming. I also have a leatherleaf fern in here. So this is a shade lover, this is a sun lover, but somehow they are just kind of loving their life here in this position, in which it probably gets a cumulative amount of sun about 2 to 3 hours per day. I have these plants in self-watering containers, which I think is helping those potato vines because those sweet potato vines love water. This one also has a leatherleaf fern, which isn't as big as the other, but is still growing. Oh, and there's also some creeping Jenny in there. Okay, so that brings me to the end of this container tour. I hope that was helpful for you in terms of seeing different container combinations, as well as kind of what the plants look like at this point in the year. We're mid-August, I'm in the East Bay of California. We get to 80s, 90s, 100 degrees, and it is really getting hot here now. So this is kind of where the plants are loving their life or either hating their life. And for the most part, I'm really happy in terms of how all of these plants and all of these containers are looking. I hope it was inspirational for you and gives you some ideas perhaps for next year's planning or even this fall in terms of what things you might want to put together in your containers. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, or you can follow me on Instagram or Facebook. I'll put all the information at the end of this video. Maybe share this with a friend, somebody else who might be interested in getting into their containers and bringing some amazing flower combinations together as well. Anyways, I really appreciate you watching, and if you did enjoy it, please like it. It helps me a lot. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.